it feels like a good part of my career getting ready for this moment, like building the bench.
Is work-life balance truly achievable or sustainable? Is there such a thing?
Absolutely not. I did hear a friend tell me at one time, a colleague, Perry Yateman, say that you can have both, just not at the same time. You can have family, you can have successful work, just not at the same time. I can't say I balance well. However, I blend well.
Mm,
So if you get me, you get my husband, you get my aunt, you get my daughter, you get the whole shebang because they have to be with me wherever I go. My civic and personal and professional life are one and the same. And people respect that when I take time away, I gotta rejuvenate and I gotta pay attention to what fuels me every day. There may be balance somewhere, but I intend to be married for a while. It absolutely is what you make of it. And I believe it's much better when I've married a person who shares the same values as I do in the community, and he understands me through and through, and the same for him. So it works the same.
In the social impact sector, it is more common to hear about folks making the leap from nonprofit to the foundation space. What is far less common is the journey you're on right now, and that is leaving the foundation space and coming over right now in dual pandemics to run a nonprofit operation.
It's so interesting because I would have never chosen this had I been thinking like in my thoughts for long term. It would have never come back to this. But last year definitely brought me back to this. As you said, I've worked nonprofit philanthropy, a little bit in public health. So this is more of I don't know if it's a 360 or a 180. I'm not a math person. However, in that journey of that circle, I did see gaps, and those gaps were exacerbated last year. So having the experiences that I've had in all those places, I now understand how to better pull them together. So I didn't necessarily see leaving the space I was as not a good decision. Actually, that experience has brought me to a place where I can better communicate and better understand what happens in our foundation world. Community foundation is a great space. I was also raising dollars there. But I believe those experiences give me the great space to now be in this space and work with all those entities to close the gaps that I experienced in that whole circle.
It's long overdue, but one of the silver linings of which are sometimes difficult to find over these past 12 to 18 months. The number of Black executive leaders in our shared space, how have they informed, inspired, impacted, adjusted your leadership and commitment to affecting real and lasting change?
It's such an interesting question because it feels like a good part of my career getting ready for this moment, like building the bench, building all your skills, walking into rooms where you weren't represented to say, hey, I'm experienced in this. And now being in a space where I can look around the room and see people who look like me making these changes. So last year was spent, and I think the next few years will be spent understanding everyone that I work with as a context expert, lived experiences, not just content, and using our experiences as a person of color, as people of color, having these lived experiences to catapult our communities to where we need to be so that we're not always experiencing the low of our communities. So it's exciting. It's exciting now actually to be in a room with a colleague who looks like me at the same level and know that she and he trust my experience, not questioning my experience and my skills, and are looking forward to what I can offer and what we can all offer to make this a better place.
Why are you such a vocal and active champion of racial and gender equity? And why does achieving both matter?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm a social worker by training. And one of the very first things you're taught as a social worker is you can only do so much. It is up to the client that you're working with, and it's labeled the right to self determination. Giving communities, giving people the skills they need to make the best decisions that they can for themselves. We can't do that in a space where the odds are already stacked against us before we're even born, based on our color and our gender. And so leveling that playing field is much more than leveling it. It's turning it on its head. You have to look at racism and gender inequities from the core of where they started before we can have people have their own right to self-determination. So everything I do as a social worker is in vain until the whole system is fixed.
What person has had the most significant influence on you and how you, Monique Jones, show up in the world?
Just one?
Take two. Let's
Okay,
do
I'll
two.
take two.
Okay.
And I actually have them tattooed on me, so I'll take
Oh,
two.
bravo. Yes.
My mother and my daughter.
Oh, wow.
So my mother, I'll share this story. Which one is it? Okay. My mother's name is Marie. This is a tattoo of how she wrote her name when she learned how to rewrite her name after suffering a stroke. So me and my brothers have her tattooed here. This is my daughter, Brielle. This is her writing her name when she was 5 years old. And so I stand in between two great, very stubborn women. And I constantly lead with wanting to make sure that my mother is always proud of me. She died when I was 17. That she knows that her daughter did something great in this world. And then I want to leave this world a better place for my daughter. So whatever she sees me doing, which is spending a lot of time, sometimes not with her, is understanding what I'm doing on a 9-year-old's level, that means mommy's doing something great. And it is uplifting to be made a whole person based on your family so that you can do what you need to do in the community.